welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be creating some layered cards and just explore different ways of layering different products, different textures to create some nice effects on our cards. And to do that we're going to use a few of the June clubs from Spellbinders, and I'll just talk you through those as we go. So for our first card I'm going to use this Stamp and Die of the Month and also this embossing folder of the month. So the embossing folder is kind of wavy. I'll show you better later when I've embossed it. And it's really nice for just patterns, but it's also really nice for kind of sea. So that's the kind of look we're going to go for today. And then we've got this cool stamp set. So you get the key and you get these pieces that can slot onto that, or we're going to use them separately as well. And you get Miss You, Hello from Paradise, Happy Retirement, Let's Be Adventurous, and Sending Sunshine Kisses and Birthday Wishes. So I think there's so many nice ideas for this in terms of like your retirement cards, kids that are going travelling, just nice beachy cards, just cute birthday cards. So you've got the dies that fit around everything because this one fits around all three of these. So that's really lovely. So we're going to use this key as the key later, but for now I'm going to use these parts on their own. So I want to create them into apertures so that we've got that nice layered look that we're going for today. So I'm going to do a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card. I'm going to use a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch layer here, but I will cut that down later. I just haven't decided what dimensions I want yet, so I prefer to work a little bit bigger and then have the space to cut it down how I want. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper because I want to do some ink blending. And I've got some Distress Oxide ink. So I've got Salvaged Patina, Broken China and Peacock Feathers. And I'm just going to create a nice mix of blues down the page with those. And if you see my videos before where I've done ink blending, you'll know I like to go in with a rough layer first and then go back in and blend everything more nicely afterwards. I think everyone has their own little ways of ink blending and that's just my preference. So now I've got this nice kind of blended mix of blues. So then I want to cut 3 apertures into this with this die. And to get these lined up nicely, I'm cutting this top one and then I'm cutting the bottom one next, so that I can make sure that they are nicely lined up with each other, and then I can do the middle one afterwards. So then I've got my 3 apertures, and now I want to emboss this with this wavy embossing folder, just to add to that kind of seaside look. So then you can see how fun that embossed pattern is. So I'm going to line that up on my card front and I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm just going to trace through the apertures so that I know where I want to stamp my stamps. So I'm just using a light pencil line. So then I'm going to use all 3 of these stamps. I'm stamping in archival ink. So then I'm going to stamp these into those boxes. So then I'm going to grab a scrap of white cardstock and I'm just going to stamp the Happy Retirement on there, and then I'm going to use the coordinating die to cut it out. So then I used archival ink to stamp my images so that I can use my Karin water-based markers to colour them. So then I'm going to erase those lines. You need to make sure that that ink is fully dry first, because this is what happens if you don't let it dry. So I just went over this one with a heat tool just to make it sure it was fully dry before I started erasing, because I didn't want to make the mistake I made on the other one. So then I'm going to go in with my Karin markers and just colour these images. So now I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of here. And I'm going to add this to my card, and then I'm going to add a strip behind here, and then I'm going to add that onto there. So then there's our finished card. I think that looks really lovely all layered up. So then for this next card, we're going to use the small day of the month, which is a cute ice cream, a little critter, and they go into these little floaties for the water. So I've cut all of these pieces out of white cardstock, and you also get this day, chill and happy. And this is a really quick and simple way of colouring your die cuts. So if you cut them all out of white, then obviously you can just pass them all through. The only thing that I had to do is put this one through twice. And then I'm just adding colour with my Distress Oxide inks. So it's really quick to do because I've added them all onto my sticky mat from my stamp wheel. And it just means that I can kind of go onto them really quickly with my blending brush. They stay in place because of the sticky mat. And then I can quickly add some colour, and that way I don't have to cut them out of all the different colours of cardstock. I can just add colour really quickly like this. So then bits like this, I don't have black Distress Oxide ink. I'm just going to go in with my Karin marker on that one. You could obviously use just an ordinary black ink. And then I'm going to add black onto his eye as well. And I'm also going to add on some little pink cheeks onto this one. And then I can make them up. So these little things are designed so that the bottoms can move back and forth like that. I'm not going to have them moving back and forth. I'm going to make them static. However, if you wanted them to go back and forth, all you'd need to do is, instead of gluing this behind here, you put a little round piece of foam into there, and then you don't glue this on. You just put the foam through and put this onto the foam to hide that, and then that's free to go like that. And the same with this one. The foam goes through there, and then that goes onto the foam, and these can go back and forth. But for today, I'm just going to glue them. Actually, I might add on the arms after I've put it in the rubber ring, because they might need to go over the rubber ring, I think. So then for this critter, the eye and the cheek fell out, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of tape over there. Actually, I might colour these before I put them back in. And then I've just cut a tiny piece of black to go behind the nostrils. And then this can go onto here. And then let's make up the little floaties. And then I'm just going to add a bit of glue behind the duck's eye. And I'll add on this piece of black cardstock. So then I'm going to add this little critter through here. And then I'm going to add the arms over the top. And then this one I can just add through there. So then I can just rinse this to get the ink off. So now I want to layer up the background for this little scene. So I've punched a 1.5 inch circle from Gina K Masking Magic. I'm going to pop that on there. And then I'm going to grab my mustard seed. I'm just going to colour that circle. So then I'm going to add the circle of Masking Magic over the top. So if you need any masking sheet over there. And then I'm going to grab in my Salvaged Patina. And I'm just going to go over the top half of this. I'm not looking for a really flat colour because I want it to look a little bit kind of cloudy, but in a kind of nice white fluffy clouds way rather than a miserable day way. So then I can peel that off. And then I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock. And this one's the same size as my card front. And I'm just going to go over that with the peacock feathers. I don't need to cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to emboss it with that same embossing folder that we used. So then what I'm going to do is, where there's a clear wave line here, I'm going to chop along that wave line. So then I'm going to glue this across the bottom of my card. Then I'm going to use this Sending Sunshine Kisses and Birthday Wishes. And then I'm just going to heat emboss that in white onto black cardstock. And then I'm going to just heat emboss that with opaque bright white superfine embossing powder. It's from Wow. So I'm going to just draw some really simplistic birds in the sky, the kind that you used to draw maybe at primary school or something. It's basically just a V. Just to give that a little bit of something in it. So you're basically just drawing a curvy V. And then the two don't really fit on together, so I'm just going to use this one. And obviously I don't want him looking like he's standing in the sea, so I'm going to cut off his legs. I'm just going to kind of chop off anything that comes under that duck. Now he looks just more like he's floating in the sea instead. Then I'm going to grab my foam strips, I'm going to pop them behind my sentiment, and then I'm going to add that right at the bottom of my card, and then I'm just going to cut the excess off here, and then I can glue on my little critter. And then I kind of really love how that turned out. So then for this next card, I've got a piece of masking magic, and I'm just going to just cut across that in slight waves. I want that to be the sand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece first. I'm going to just create like a rough kind of like beachy feel scene in the background. So I'm going to pop that on there, and then I'm going to use my scattered straw ink at the bottom. And I'm just going to blend all under here. Then I'm going to take this back off, and I can just pop these pieces back on the back so I can use that again another time. And then I'm going to add this piece on. So this is the opposite piece to the one we just used. So I'm going to stick this along here, right along the edge. And then I'm going to use some Salvaged Patina ink. And then I'm also going to use the peacock feather ink just for a little bit down here. Now I can take this off. So in the better press of the month this month is this gorgeous summertime palms. So you get the palms themselves, and then you get the sending a sunny hello and wishing you a relaxing birthday sentiments, and they come with the coordinating dies. So we're going to foil with this today. Now if you don't have a foiling machine, you could obviously use your better press with black ink, because I'm going to use black foil. I think these are just gorgeous. I think they'll look really striking in the black. So then I'm going to cut a piece of black foil the size of my card front, and then I'm going to place this over the top. So then I can take that down. I'm just going to wrap it around the back to hold the cardstock in place as well. So if you have a hot foil machine but you have never hot foiled with your better press plates, then it's exactly the same as your normal hot foil plates. You just lay them up in the same way, press the timer, and when the timer's done you can put it through your die cutting machine. Then we've got this gorgeous layered palm background, and then for the foreground I want this key. So I'm going to stamp the key onto here, and then I'm going to add this piece into it. So I'm going to colour this with my Karin markers again. Then I'm going to use a coordinating die to cut it out. So then I've cut a black piece of cardstock the same size as my card front, and then I've used this die, which is the second largest of the stitch rectangles from the layering rectangle set that I often use from Syberia Designs. I'll link that below. And then I've also got this Time for Another Adventure sentiment, and that is from this Glimmer of the Month set. So with the Glimmer of the Month club each month, you get the actual glimmer set, but you also get a roll of glimmer foil to go with it. But for this, I've used the black to go with this black here. So this month it's a load of summary sentiments. So I've foiled that in black foil, and then you also get the coordinating die so you can cut all these out. And I really like it when they do them like this, so you can do loads of sentiments at once. So I've just taken this time for another adventure for this. So now I'm going to layer out my card, so I can use this one that I made a mistake on earlier because I'm going to cover it with this. So I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of my frame. So I'm going to add some foam pad to the back of my key. And then I'm also going to add foam strip to the back of my sentiment. And then there's our final card finished. So then there are today's 3 finished cards, all layered in different ways. So we've got our inked and embossed panel layered up over this focal point of this card. We've got the foil layered over the ink and then framed on this card. And then we've got the ink layer with the cut embossed layer over there for that card. So I really hope that you've enjoyed today's video and the techniques that I've shared with you for layering on your cards. Please do let me know which is your favourite. I'd love to read it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.